Episode 6, All the Secrets. As soon as she was done, there was a knock at the door. She opened it, knowing who was waiting on the other side.
Ready to go.
Hello to you too, Shen. I'm doing well, thanks for asking. Shen chuckled in response to her quip. I'm ready, let's go. Are you going to teleport us?
I'm conserving my resource. Bay's going to give us a ride. She's already waiting for us, so let's hurry up.
Nodding, she followed the warlock down the hall. Once in the common room, the catcher saw Bay and Vesper. Later, Supreme Witch, Hostess. Only 3 outfits. So she came from Hogwarts. I'll do leader, actually. Hi. Hello. How are you feeling? Prepared?
Leaving in 15.
Faye took an almost aggressive bite of green apple and walked out. She clearly preferred the company of her car to people.
Should we go over the plan once again?
Yes. They quickly discussed the main details and escape routes, examining the blueprints of the church Vesper had found. Try to be quick and quiet. Use the magic only as a last resort. We don't want the Magistrum to get involved if something goes wrong. There are no meetings scheduled at the church tonight, but you'll probably have to deal with a guard, since the church also functions as a museum. Deal. You don't mean that, do you? Vesper laughed. Don't kill anyone, Nova. We've got enough problems as it is. Just neutralize him, distract him, or do something that would prevent him from performing his duties while you're searching for the next clue.
Will do.
I wanted to send Onyx with you, but she's busy attending to personal matters. I can connect with her if I need to. I hope you can handle it, Nova. Follow Shen's instructions. He has a lot of experience. He knows what he's doing.
Enough sweet talk.
Why don't you want to come with us, Vesper? Although I guess it's not that you don't want to, you can't. You can't risk your cover and reputation. Exactly. If something goes wrong, I'll find a way to get you out. But if all of us gets in trouble, nobody will be able to help. Glancing at the clock, Shen nodded towards the door.
It's time.
Good luck. The catcher thanked her and followed Shen out. When Nova and Shen settled by the windows in the back of the seat of the old car, Bay ordered them to fasten their seatbelts. The young woman complied, but the warlock remained unbuckled. I drive fast.
And I portal multiple times a day. You think I can handle a car ride?
Suit yourself. Sometimes you remind me of a rebellious teenager, Shen. Agreed. He's like 7 times older than a teenager, though.
How old do you think I am? We're practically the same age, woman.
She winked at him, then stepped on the gas, and the car sped down the streets at breakneck pace. The driver skillfully navigated the sharp turns, while Shen stared ahead in shock, clearly regretting his decision.
Shit! You're going to kill us before the Magistrum gets to us.
She did warn you. Warlock cursed under his breath and hurried to fasten his seatbelt. Now that she put Shen in his place, she slowed down. The church was in another part of the city, so they had a bit of a drive ahead. Nova watched the streets passing by, thinking about her traveling companions. I don't often see these two together, but I noticed that Bay makes a ever-gloomy Shen smile like no one else can. That gave her an idea. You know, Shen, I like... Interesting. You and Bay have a lot in common. Nova said that quietly, sitting a little closer so the driver wouldn't overhear the conversation.
Us. A lot in common. I don't torture people like she does.
Oh, but you do. She just does it intentionally, unlike you, though.
Well, alright, why did you bring this up?
Just thought that you could look good together.
What?
Together, Shen. That's when people...
I'm not discussing this with you.
They canoodle, Shen, they canoodle. Nova tilted her head to the side. You don't have to, just think about it. Shen looked in the rearview mirror, meeting Vei's gaze. The powerful warlock couldn't withstand 2 seconds of eye contact. He turned to the window, muttering something under his breath. Nova rolled her eyes good-naturedly and turned to the window, deciding to bring her focus to the mission. She went over all the important information she could remember about Raffaello, the church, and its other architects and builders. Raffaello started designing the building in 1509. After his death in 1520, the project went to Baldassare Peruzzi. The construction had just begun at that time. Eventually, her mind returned to last night, her conversation with the Cardinal and her choice. Am I ready to betray the Vatican? Betray my own father after all he's done for me? Although it felt like a dagger to the heart, and just recently the pain would have been enough to put her back on her course. Everything had changed. It changed slowly, gradually. It changed when Nova began to realize that she'd never really felt like she belonged until the very moment she set foot into the nest. Fervent devotion to her father's ideals provided her with a purpose. That way she could earn his love. And once upon a time, that was the only thing she ever dreamed of. But loyalty to Cardinal Barone couldn't give her the freedom to be who she was born to be. Wherever the time catcher went, guilt for her own existence trailed behind her like a heavy chain. A sense of being an outsider, of being wrong, the awareness of a sin she hadn't even committed. Maybe Father's right. God really didn't want others to exist. Perhaps he will bring his punishment to bear upon all people as a result. But if so, then I don't want to serve such a god. She immediately terrified by the words echoing in her mind. What if this was a huge mistake? Was she truly ready to condemn an entire world to suffering because of her own selfishness? I'm not sure about anything anymore. What should I do? The car slowed down. Vei jerked her chin to indicate that she was ready to drop them off. They were a couple of blocks away from the church and would have to walk the rest of the way. Nova and Shen exchanged serious glances. When Vei parked in a quiet alley, they went out into the cool night air. They didn't have time to appreciate Raffaello's architectural genius. Quietly approaching the church, the witch and the warlock made sure they wouldn't be picked up by camera. Upon entering, they found the guard post empty. The hall was silent.
Maybe he went to take a leak.
Noticing a bottle of water on the table, Nova squinted. I have an idea. Rummaging in her pocket, she took out a small vial and poured its contents into the bottle.
Valerian root?
Among other things. Or I added a bunch of stuff into the tincture. Makes me sleep like a baby. The taste is very strong, though, so the guard will probably immediately realize something's wrong with the water. I think that even one sip would be enough for an ordinary, though.
Smart.
They quickly found a place from where they could watch the guard post unnoticed. He finally returned and took a sip of the water about 10 minutes later. Tasting the herbs, the heavyset man frowned, examining the label, then took another sip with a shrug. Great. He just accepts there's herbs in his water all of a sudden. The tincture worked on him, even faster than it usually did on the catcher, who'd take it from time to time to sink into a dreamless sleep. When the guard lowered his head onto the table and fell asleep, Shen and Nova came out of their hiding place, picking up the bottle to dispose of later. She held her gaze on the sleeping man. What's next? Shen twitched an eyebrow.
Look for the next clue. What else? Where do we start? I'm no good at all this, so go ahead and take the lead.
I guess we'll just look around first. Let's take a look at the frescoes, bust of Saint Elegidius, the floor, the dome. The dome. They walked to the middle of the church and raised their heads. There was an inscription on the dome.
Tusideres pandi astrias nos templandos.
You, God, manifest stars and planets, we build temples. Or something like that.
Think this is some kind of hint?
No, the dome was finished after Raphael's death, so he could hardly know what would be written on it. Besides, they rebuilt it too. Now... Okay, then take a look at the floor. I would establish, or assume that would be established when he was alive.
Where exactly? There's a lot of floor here.
We need to check everywhere. The warlock shrugged. They quickly went around the entire church, but found nothing. Well... Okay, then we'll take a look at the frescoes, whatever the hell those are.
The paintings on the wall.
Yes. They approached the altar to examine the old, tired images. Madonna of Divine Providence. Those are Saint Stephen Eligius, and the one is Saint Lawrence. The fresco is more than 4 centuries old. It was created by Matteo da Lich around 1575. Shen grimaced, folding his arms over his chest.
Would you look at all the silly stuff?
This silly stuff could lead us to the source, just so you know. He raised his hands in surrender.
Just surprised you keep all that in your head. In a good way.
Wow, a compliment from you. She put her hands on her hips, critically examining the saints. What's next? Okay, I guess it's all of it. The bust. Without hesitation, Shen grabbed the bust from the altar and turned it over in his hands. The catcher grimaced. She wasn't used to seeing depictions of saints treated that way. Careful, it's very old. Just like you.
Well, aren't you original?
She curtsied humorously, but shook off the levity, remembering where they were and why. As far as I remember, this bust was made in the early 17th century.
Well, nothing remarkable about it.
Break it. Shen ended his assault on the poor Saint Eligus and put the bust back.
What now?
The guards stirred, causing them to turn around towards the sound. Fortunately, he was still asleep, but it served as a reminder that they didn't have much time left. Nova squeezed her eyes shut, refusing to entertain the possibility that they could just fail. No, I'm not leaving until I find this effing clue. She faltered, realizing she just swore in the Temple of God, even if only in her thoughts. Oh no, maybe we should check somewhere more carefully. We could have missed something. Shen, let's take a look at the... I don't know, let's go with the frescoes. It seems like the only thing that had somewhat potent of a clue. Aside from that, I'd go with the floor. The second inspection yielded no results. Clasping his hands behind his back, Shen slowly walked along the wall, studying the cracks and recesses. Stopping abruptly, he looked down at his feet and called the witch over to him. God damn it, I was right.
This area, see? The tiles are uneven here, but it's barely noticeable.
He pressed on the floor a couple times in the right area, and Nova saw the marble move slightly. What should we do? We can't just... Shen took a gilded candlestick, kneeling down, and struck the stone with it. We're destroying a church. You're not really destroying the church, just the floor. She was taught to be reverent about everything that concerned God. The sight of Shen mercilessly smashing the floor in the church made her dizzy. Then again, we don't really have time to come up with anything else. This is destructive, but definitely effective. I think my father would agree in that case. The ends justify the means. Looking back at the sleeping man, the catcher saw him stir slowly as if he was about to wake up. Done with the candlestick, Shen set it aside and began to throw the crushed marble aside. Feeling a heart pick up its pace, Nova knelt down next to him to help. Seconds were passing too quickly. The guard's eyelids fluttered. What if there's nothing there? The dust from the stone stuck to their fingertips, stained their clothes, and got to their lungs. The clattering of shards, a rustling sound from the side, a faint moan from the recently awakened, disoriented man.
Should have been asleep longer.
Faster, faster. Finally, they reached the space under the floor, just as the guard finally came to his senses. What? Nova reached down into the damp darkness, but kept bumping into beams and building structures. A chill ran down her spine. She felt someone's eyes on her.
What do we do?
I need a few more seconds. She continued to fumble blindly in the recess, hoping to find something. Hey, you! Who are you? The blood in her veins was boiling, hearing unsteady footsteps behind them. Shen squinted, preparing to summon his presence. I found something. Grabbing a small rectangular object, she was able to pull it out, but it got stuck between two beams. The footsteps were getting closer, faster. What are you doing? I'm calling the police!
Tell me when.
Don't use presents. I'm almost... Turning her hand and the object, she freed herself, and they rushed to the exit. The guard ran after them, his shouts echoing into the night. At least he doesn't know we're others. Turn after turn, they raced forward, not looking back, even when the footsteps behind them faded away. Her lungs crumpled, her sides stung, but Nova couldn't bring herself to stop, as if it was running not from the church garden, but from her worst nightmare. Shen called out to her as they ran, but she didn't hear him. Thousands of thoughts were pounding in her head. They were strangling or digging into her brain like sharp needles. She didn't have time to figure out what was wrong with her. All she knew was that she couldn't stop. At that moment, she wanted to hide away from the rest of the world, find a safe space. A place where she'd be warm and at peace, where she wouldn't be tormented by conflicting feelings. Nova came to a sudden stop as someone yanked her by the arm. What? It was like she was knocked out of a trance. It was hard to breathe.
We lost him. I've been calling out for you, but you didn't seem to hear me.
The woman leaned against the wall of the nearest house and brought her hand to her chest, trying to come to her senses.
Are you all right?
Making a choice will improve your friendship. No. Shen could barely speak. Or she could barely speak. Her throat burned with unshed tears and emotions overwhelmed her. What's happening to me? She knew what was happening. The constant worrying, poor sleep, she held on as best as she could, but now, after a surge of stress, her body was close to giving up. Shen was looking at her at a loss, and for some reason, it seemed sweet. It distracted her. Nova slid to the ground and rested her elbows on her knees. She sat down next to her, making sure there was no one else nearby.
It happened to me too. When you suddenly realize at the worst possible moment that just how high the stakes are, and then you're left not knowing what to do with it all.
Shen leaned back, resting the back of his head against the wall, and looked up at the cloudy night sky. How did you cope with it?
Poorly. It sucks to know that so much depends on you.
You really don't know how to calm people down, do you? I mean, we don't always have the answers, damn it.
What makes you think that? Other people's emotions don't stun me. I'm a very open person, can't you tell?
They both laughed hoarsely. Well, at least share some ancient Chinese wisdom with me.
Oh, I have something Grandma used to say to me a lot.
Shen coughed and said with a serious expression,
The old man lost his horse.
Nova looked at him, waiting for him to elaborate, but he didn't. What does that mean?
I've got no clue, she never explained.
Shen got up and held out his hand to help her up.
Let's go. We'll find some place safe and I'll take us home.
Okay. Nova followed him. The next day. The vault itself seemed to be frozen in anticipation as Vesper bent over the box lying on the table. She clasped her hands behind her back to hide the trembling, but her voice still betrayed her excitement. I can't believe it. Nova rubbed her eyes and straightened the folds on her outfit. We have hint. Clue. Revelation. Epiphany. Red outfit's not too bad. Revelation. Listen, you already know what I was gonna pick here, okay? It looks good. It's all black. Rrr. Is this my choice? No. Oh, of course you're gonna make me. Okay. At least it gives us the current one. Wait, why didn't you give me like a red in that? I'm just saying. Nope, current. All good. She didn't get a chance to examine the box they found when she and Shen returned to the nest last night. The warlock wasn't with them today, and neither was Onyx. I think we need to enter a code word. I'm surprised this technology was already available at that time. The catcher took the box to inspect it. Raffaello's box. Ah, it's one of those. One of those code ciphers. She ran her finger over one of the cylinders. It creaked reluctantly, revealing another letter. I saw a similar lock at an auction that I accompanied Costantino to. If I'm not mistaken, that one was made in the 14th or 15th century. It was definitely rare, but given Raphael's connections, he would have easily found a craftsman who would make this box for him. This is a true work of art. It is. I hope this work of art is hiding the location of the source. We could just saw off the lid. What if we damage the contents? We don't know what's inside. I suggest we at least try to open it using the code. Force should be a last resort. You're right. Vesper was distracted by a phone call. After checking the screen, she rolled her eyes. I'd like to stay, but they're waiting for me at the office. I don't think I'll be able to come back today, but keep me posted, alright? The box must not leave the vault. I've cast a spell that will notify me if that happens. The sharpness of her gaze made the catcher squirm in her seat. Why is she being like that? She's just being cautious, right? Of course. We'll make sure no one takes it. Vesper said goodbye and went out into the tunnels in a hurry. Lucian and Nova exchanged brief glances before returning their attention to the task at hand. Unless it's because she also doesn't trust Lucian. Well, let's see. He sat down next to her and pushed the box to the edge of the table. Time hadn't spared it. The church it was stored in for many centuries was near the Tiber, so the interiors were human. The metal had rusted, and it was difficult to make out the image. Virtues. They fell silent, deep in thought. In the end, the countless hours spent studying the life and works of the Renaissance master paid off. Cardinal and theological virtues. The fresco and Santaz della Signature at the Vatican. Yes, he painted the fortitude, prudence, and temperance, and justice. Cardinal virtues in Christian theology. Do you think one of them is the answer? Possibly, but which one? Nova's trying to make out the image on the lid under the inscription. Looks like 2 cups, sort of. And a sword, perhaps? Yeah. We can try to put in these 4 options, one after the other, see what happens. Let's put in prudence, temperance, justice, fortitude. I'm gonna think on this, hold on. Okay, thinking about it. I'm leaning towards prudence or temperance. Those are the 2 I'm leaning towards. Which one I'm gonna pick first, I don't know, so I'm just gonna flip a coin, and that's mentally. But anyway, I'm gonna go with temperance. That didn't work. Of course it didn't. Prudence. Okay, 50-50. We'll go with fortitude. The lock clicked. Bro, come on! It worked. Yeah, no shit. Inside, she was jubilant, but the only proof of that was a smirk playing on her lips. Of course it worked. It had to work. I've poured my heart and soul into this search. Raffaella will haunt my dreams for the rest of my life. Listen, you went through all 4 choices. It was your only last choice. Let's see what's inside. It's a card with a middle finger. They reached for the box at the same time. Lucian managed to grab it first. Seeing a particular bright fire in his eyes, Nova was a little taken back. The vampire flinched as if coming to his senses and backed away. I apologize. Ladies first. The catcher thanked him and tried to lift the lid, but it wouldn't budge. Seems like it has to be you after all. Lucian, however, also failed. It's jammed. I could take on my blood form, but I'm afraid to damage what's inside. What about some WD-40? I guess it's not surprising. It has been lying under the floor for so long. I take it we'll just have to wait for Vesper's decision. Maybe she'll find some warlock or witch who can relax the metal. Man, WD-40's a witchcraft now. Nova sighed in disappointment, getting up from her seat. Lucian stood up after her. Folding her arms across her chest, the woman leaned on the table. What do you think is hiding in there? It seems very light. It doesn't even make a sound when we move it. Perhaps it's a piece of paper with instructions? Something encrypted, of course. I doubt we'd get so lucky. It would just tell us where the source is. I have a suggestion. How about we forget about the mission for now? We deserve to rest. Would you like to stay here for a while? I'd be happy to. He stood next to her. How long have you been living in Italy? The last 30 years, give or take. I like it here, but nothing compares to crazy old France. Then why are you still here? I'm sure you can guess. Constantina? To be honest, I have a feeling that being in a clan has more disadvantages than advantages. You have to run errands, you can't make your own decisions, big decisions that affect your life. All that is nothing compared to the difficulties lone vampires have to face. Having some kind of family grants you protection and a sense of security. You feel like you belong. When you're alone, you become very easy prey for the Order and the rest of the world. You know how most people feel about vampires. Everyone is afraid of us. We're forced to unite in clans, otherwise our chances of survival are close to zero. But if you left the clan now, you wouldn't stop being a friend of the Incineration Alliance. Vesper would certainly be willing to find you a room in the nest. Lucian shook his head with a gentle smile. You are naive, Nova. It's endearing. Sounds like more like an insult than a compliment. I apologize, I didn't mean to offend you. I appreciate your concern, but I'm afraid it's much more complicated than it might seem at first glance. The catcher wanted to continue asking questions, but the vampire changed the subject. Soon, they were talking about art and literature. Lucian led her to the nest through the shadows and left her in the common room. She had a snack and then went to her bedroom. She couldn't wait to get some rest, however. As it turned out, life had other plans for her. In the corner of her room, a person was sitting in the chair with their legs crossed. The outline of the figure left no doubt as to who the intruder was. It was her. Vesper? Hello again, Nova. The catcher's eyes darted around the room in panic. What are you doing here? The crisis's work was quickly resolved. I decided to pay you a visit. We need to discuss a rather sensitive matter. Nova could hear it in her voice. A threat. Get it together, Nova, get it together. She crossed her arms. What is so sensitive that you had to come into my bedroom without my permission? Next time implies you'll continue living here. Which I'm not so sure about. What are you getting at? Clicking her tongue, Vesper shrugged, almost casual. What I'm getting at is, I don't think there's a place for Vatican spies at the nest. Okay. Thank you to the Listen, I give you guys ads every like 30 minutes and whatnot. And yeah, no, I'm a humble YouTuber who makes no money off of this stuff. So as much as I'd like to thank you, I can only thank you with words. So yeah, otherwise there's also 5-star, which I've also given you on the Google store. Just saying, in case people go, what did you? Yeah, no, shut up. 2 to Sun, 1 to Moon, 2 to Status. We'll talk here in a minute. Because I'm gonna, give them their ad revenue, which is more than the 3 diamonds. Okay, so episode 7 is up next. If you did enjoy, before I begin discussing, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Head down the description, plenty of things to check out, ways to support. It would be greatly appreciated, and there is also the join and thanks feature. Otherwise, let's get into it. So, oh no, we have been found out. Oh noes! So, I'm not really, oh no, drama. Like, I'm all drama out after today. So here's what I think is going to happen. Again, as a person who really isn't, like, I don't wiki this stuff. I don't watch other people's stuff. I do this fresh. So this is my opinion. That's one of the reasons why you saw me. I went through all damn 4 choices. I didn't know. I think I was hoping that maybe the person was like the 2 choices I went with. What the reason why it was because they were more balanced, right? And the final choice just seemed weird to me, and it still does for me. But I get it. I guess since the guy helped make the church and whatnot, I guess it works and makes sense. So I guess it's just my way of thinking, maybe it was a person who literally and figuratively knew about the source and was trying to find balance between 2 forces and for the good of both, but, hey, whatever. So, I believe this is what'll happen. We will come forward and tell Vesper, yeah, no, listen, my father's literally a cardinal. Yeah, I was sent here to spy, but I've had a change of heart. And literally and figuratively, I just helped you find this. I helped you. Like, you can't tell me that suddenly Nova's, like, use is done for the Incineration Alliance. You can't tell me that. Right? And clearly, like, she's done nothing wrong to anyone. She hasn't hurt anyone. So, like, I wouldn't believe an excommunicado and killing her and or killing her would work. So, I just don't. I believe Vesper's a woman who sees reason. She wouldn't even let you come back to the nest. Let's be honest. She would probably just have had you killed right then and there. So, I believe that the Incineration Alliance is kind of like this reflection of like misfit black sheep people, right? That come together, that may not always agree and see eye to eye on things, but they come together for like the good of things. And that's what I see. Right? And so, even if, let's just hypothetical this for a minute, even if you picked Cardinal, right, and you picked the Vatican, I don't believe she'd go ballistic. I think maybe she'd even try reasoning with you, try and convince you, try and convert you. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know in the comment section below. So, other than that, I enjoy this stuff. It was a kind of a short chapter there, or may I say episode. Kind of short, but it was fine. It was good, well written, not a bunch of diamond choices. I kind of like that the outfits weren't super expensive. I'm really looking forward to a diamond rush because I'm kind of been, draining the diamonds since the update. So, but again, I'm trying to make sure that I do at least 1 episode a day of various books, which real quick, for those of you who actually care and are still here, as you can see here, Love, Shen, we're waiting until September. 7 Brothers, same. Thunderstormed, same. I know you guys want me to do a lot of these other things, but I'm trying to catch up on some things because I've just started stepping foot into the RC universe. We just did some Haze, and again, we're getting onto this. We just finished season 1, so again, I'm trying. So again, the more support that you show this channel, these videos, this family that we have here, and the more eagerness you are to continue to come back, the more I will put in and try and crank out more episodes. Because again, I'm doing this for free. I'm just doing it for you guys so you can enjoy it. Trying to, give my all to this stuff. And again, for you guys, not myself. Right. I could probably speed through. I could speed read through all these chapters if I really wanted to, and probably be done with the app in probably a couple days. I'm gonna be honest with you, and then I'd be waiting for next updates like everybody else. So, otherwise, thank you all for watching. Catch you all later. Peace out.